Hi everyone, welcome back, or welcome for the first time to Sen Studios. This is a filmmaking and production channel, primarily, but I've been channeling the powers of my autism to make some roller coaster videos. And this is going to be the first of many. I'm actually going to make a bit of a series out of it, calling it Chicken Coop Coasters, based off the new Texas Giants Chicken Coop, due to me being stuck there quite a bit when I was younger. And I'm kind of talking about my journey in this, but that's not what I'm really doing here. What I'm really doing is ranking the rides of SeaWorld based off intensity. So many roller coaster videos, I feel, are specifically about ride quality, right? But I wanted to make a video for kind of the GP, for the people that don't love roller coasters, kind of like me. I've only got like 31 credits, okay? I'm not a insane person yet, but I'm getting there. And how did I get there? Well, it did actually start at SeaWorld, I would say. This park is amazing, honestly, at giving you a starting point for rides, and you steadily increase what you do basically every time you come here. There are a few exceptions to that rule that I'll talk about towards the end of the video, and how I think the park could become an even better version of itself. And I'm going to be talking about this concept quite a bit on this channel, but SeaWorld San Antonio does the idea of step-up coasters really well. Every coaster at the park is like another part of a staircase, and it's like you're going up one step at a time. There are a few exceptions to that rule that I'll talk about a little later, and there's a few parks that don't do it very well that I will be talking about in this series. You're not here for all that. You're here to hear what the top 10 most intense rides at SeaWorld San Antonio are. You're probably a little confused because you're like, okay, Aquatica is not SeaWorld San Antonio. Are you including Aquatica in this video? No, I'm not, but I'd like to list some of these water slides as actually honorable mentions, just to start us off. One that you're seeing right now on screen probably is Stingray Falls, which is a very good family slide. Honestly, anyone could do it, but it is a little bit aggressive for like young children. But for the most part, honestly, like your mom could do it. Your mom that's terrified of rides could do it. I think my mom has. The other one is this mat slide. It's got a pretty sizable drop on it. This park is very committed to getting you used to the dropping sensation. And it's got one ride that I'm sure you already are thinking of that does that better than any other ride in Texas. So Texas residents, let's talk about our state's best family park and the top 10 most intense rides within. Coming in at number 10, we have the obvious choice of Beach Rescue Racer, the kiddie ride. Now, I will say, as I think a lot of people have mentioned, this is a bit intense for a kiddie ride, and I would also kind of criticize its roughness a little bit. Now, I've got long legs, so it probably won't be super rough for your kid if they have small legs, but if you're someone that is like just getting into coasters and are all like, oh yeah, I want to do the kiddie ride first to get me ready, I wouldn't say I don't recommend that, but I would say if you've got long legs like me, be prepared for it to be rougher than your average coaster experience. Most coasters will not be as rough as this. It's also got some weirdly forceful helixes for a kiddie ride. It's not bad. It's a very easy ride that really anyone could do. I just wish it was a little bit smoother. And I do actually kind of miss the Shamu roller coaster. I do think that that's a better start-off point for kids than this. But this is also a better transitional ride into the rides that are above it, if that makes sense. And speaking of the rides that are above it, we have at number 9, Wave Breaker. Now, this is going to be a pretty hot take, I think. But what we're specifically ranking here, okay, I need to clarify this probably at the start of the video, is we're ranking the intimidation factor of every ride. And when you look at Wave Breaker, what is intimidating about it? The launch? Maybe. It's crawling through it. It doesn't really look like, oh, the people that are on that launch are being pushed back into their seats, because you're not. You're probably leaning forward, actually. And then 2 hills. 2 pretty small hills. The tallest hill, I believe, goes 61 feet in the air. And you already have momentum before you even get to that hill. So this was the ride, actually, that, like, I rode after going to Disney, after being terrified of Space Mountain and Splash Mountain, and thinking, oh, I kind of like roller coasters. And that's because the momentum is already there at the start of the ride. So you're not slowly working your way up a lift hill, down to a drop, or in the dark and completely just feeling very vulnerable. None of that. You have clear track in front of you. You have small, not steep at all drops. And you just have a very fun, easy experience for, I feel like, anyone. While Beach Rescue Racer, I think, is specifically a really good ride for kids or smaller people, Wavebreaker is a good ride for everyone. The lines are awful, though. Please, I beg of you, go to this ride first. You will have a better day if you do. At number 8, we have a ride I can talk about for a while because the POV is long. We have Catapult Falls. It is a intimate, what's it called? A launch log flume? It's really weird. It's a really weird ride with a lot of weird sensations on it. I'd say the most intimidating part of the ride is not the launch, is not the drop, it's actually the elevator lift, weirdly. There is a elevator lift towards the end of the ride that just carries your log upward in a way that feels so strange to your body. It's not as intimidating as a lift hill, though. I will still say, like, I think it's so odd that you're just like laughing as you're going up it. Like, you're like, why is this happening? This does not feel stable at all. It is, obviously, but it's very strange. It's a very strange sensation. It was closed last time I went, but I absolutely love this ride. I do wish there was a bit more theming to it. Like, I like the campground themes that it's got going for it. I just wish they were doing more of it. I think maybe, like, adding almost like a tunnel section might be good at some point towards the beginning of the ride. But overall, like, it is the ride that I go to when I need to relax at this park, because I don't really love, like, Rio Grande. I find it a little bit boring, but this ride has like a 4-minute period of just kind of chilling through kind of water, and it just with some pretty visuals and stuff, and a very tame drop at the end, and a very tame launch. My one critique of this ride is that none of the little airtime hills in it provide any airtime whatsoever. You do get some ejector on the drop, I'm pretty sure, but you don't really get anything else from the small bunny hills. So I think Intamin could probably do better with a retry of this model as far as thrills go. But I'm glad this ride is in the park because it gets you really used to kind of larger, steeper dropping sensations. And I would say it is less intimidating overall than the ride that is directly above it. Might be a hot take as well, because I know it's the steepest log flume in the world, but there's something about the drop to Catapult Falls that just, when you actually do it, it is just not as scary. And my girlfriend would argue that that is childhood trauma, because Journey to Atlantis is a ride that we both did separately when we were small, that has a very scary drop for kids, I would say. So here's what's scary about this ride, right? And this is why I'm ranking the intimidation factor. I feel like one part of it that's not talked about enough is that when you are actually going towards the little rotating platforms, unless you're looking at it from a very particular angle, it almost looks like the track just ends. And then you also have that mixed with the fact that you have a backwards drop during this ride that I think could be absolutely terrifying for younger people or for people that are not used to roller coasters. In fact, I would even argue, you know, I talked about Wavebreaker, I talked about momentum, and how this ride has like none of it, and how it hangs you over the final drop, how it leaves you just waiting there in suspense versus during the backwards drop. I would argue that the backwards section on Switchback as EDT, rest in peace, is less scary than the backwards section on this ride, because you go straight into it, right? You go on that vertical lift and then you go straight back and you start feeling the airtime. It's more aggressive, obviously, but it's not as intimidating as the backwards section on Journey to Atlantis. Like, I'm still sometimes nervous when I get on this ride because I'm like, I know the track is there. I know the backwards section is fine, but I know the backwards section is getting rougher over time. which is another critique I have of this ride. And I know that the drop is just gonna hang you there like a freaking tilt coaster or something. Or what's the other one? The dive coasters. That's genuinely how it feels. It doesn't necessarily suspend you over the drop, but it just stays at the top. It rotates you and you just stays there. It wants you to be afraid. The rides below it seem like they want you to have fun. This ride feels like it wants you to be afraid because of how long it hangs you over the front of the drop. Not hangs. Hangs is not accurate. But you know what I'm talking about, you know? And so the intimidation factor of this ride, I would argue, despite it being less steep, I believe it is slightly taller by like 20 feet or so. And there's just more to this ride that feels more intense, like the kind of sensation of just being suspended for so long. Because here's the other thing about this ride. Sorry, just one last thing. Think about all the other rides in this park, right? And how many of them can you think that hang you in the air for as long as Journey to Atlantis does? Catapult Falls brings you straight up, drops you straight down. Wavebreaker launches you into a hill, drops you straight down. A steel eel carries you to the top, throws you straight down, then carries you to the top again, throws you straight down again. I'm just saying, even Texas Stingray does not hold you as high as Journey to Atlantis does for as long as it does. Just completely still, with no momentum whatsoever. That's scary. Now's a good time to say shout out to both Hemisphere and Canopy Studios for providing some copyright-free POVs. This one in particular is Hemisphere's, and it is a back row POV of Barracuda Strike, which I'm ranking at number 6. It is rougher than it started as. Let me just say that. I thought people were being so dramatic about like, oh, there's a slight B&M rattle, womp womp, like, whatever. I get it, guys. I'm sorry. This thing is both forceful, quick, and rough. I would not say it's super intense, still. The most intense part of the ride is the first drop. Other than that, it's actually pretty tame. It's got some wicked positives on some of the turns, and pretty much no airtime. And I think it's just really laterals is the main thing with this ride. So to get you used to that sensation of like turning, swerving laterals, this ride is great. This ride is amazing for that. And I still really like it. I like the theming. I like the layout. I think it's a little bit short, but geez, I understand what people mean about the B&M rattle now. I don't know how long this ride's gonna last for, because if this roughness keeps getting worse progressively, like it started off fine, it started off like this is a smooth coaster, this is fine, I can't notice it, and then it ended where it's currently at. I hope they can do something to fix this ride. If not, I think they just gotta bite the bullet and replace it probably pretty quickly here. Otherwise, it's gonna be one of the roughest coasters in Texas within 5 years. That being said, a bit of a better ride that is surprisingly intense and is going to be another hot take, I know, is Sea Swinger. Now, I'm breaking my rule here a little bit, okay? Because this one does not look intense at all. It looks like, oh, it's spinning a little bit, it's swinging. It goes kind of vertical. It goes very vertical, okay? It feels like you are nearly going upside down. And I think going upside down is a big fear for a lot of people. But the thing that's horrible about this one is how long it hangs you. And I would also say Tidal Surge, which we'll talk about soon, is like it swings you back and forth, right? It's predictable. You're going to go forward, you're going to go backwards. This one, you have no idea what direction you're going to go during the next swing. And that is another factor that just, it adds a different kind of sensation that is almost equally as intimidating. The one at Pleasure Pier is still significantly more intense. It spins you way more. But this one is still pretty scary and is more intense than it looks. It's deceptively small, but pretty forceful when you're actually on it. That being said, if you've done all the rides underneath it, you're ready for it, 100%. Just be prepared to take a little bit of a breather afterwards. And speaking of rides that require a breather, here is my 4th hot take of the video. I'm ranking Texas Stingray at number 4. Yes, I know, a lot of people consider this the most intense ride in the park. Here's the thing, though. If you don't watch coaster enthusiast content, you're just looking at this thing. You've ridden Woodies before, maybe you've ridden Switchback, or maybe you've ridden Boardwalk Bullet, or maybe you've ridden something smaller somewhere outside of Texas. You see this ride, you look at the drop on it, you look at the other drops in the park or other factors of the rides that are above it, and you think, you know what? The rest of this ride is pretty low to the ground. I think I can do this. You even look up something about it, for example. You compare it to Steel Eel. You see 100 feet on this one, 150 feet on Steel Eel. And you see 3 huge drops in a row on Steel Eel. Which one do you think you're going to do first? My experience is that I did this one first, and I really liked it. It's got crazy ejector airtime. I would unfortunately not say it's as good of a ride as it was when I first rode it, because what I loved about it when I first rode it was so smooth. It was like the smoothest wooden coaster I've ever been on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what they did here, but I love how butter smooth this wood is. Now it's like more chaotic and just insane and shakes you around and throws you around. But man, it was like an RMC, but wooden. That is how smooth it felt when it first opened, like in 2020. Because I rode it like almost when it just opened, and it was smooth as butter. If you do all of these rides in order and you get to this one, this is a great way to end like your first day at SeaWorld, because as soon as you get off of it, I think you'll think like, wow, that was really fun. Just be prepared for that wooden coaster feeling, really, because yeah, it's rough and you're gonna feel the roughness. But that being said, unlike Barracuda Strike, the roughness adds to the experience rather than takes away from it. Coming in at number 3, we have Steel Eel. Steel Eel is a very intimidating ride. It is the one that you see when you're entering the park and you think, oh wow, I'm never doing that ride. That's way too big. But then you get on it and you do 3 huge drops in a row, and guess what happens after that? You get on it again, and you don't feel that dropping sensation in the same time you do. You know why? Because this is the ride that is the absolute best at conquering your fear of drops. And it's such a good ride at such a simple concept of just introducing you to drops and just kind of making you feel like you could now do any sort of hyper coaster that you set your mind to. Like ever since I've ridden this coaster, I'm like, I want to ride Mako so bad. And I still do, because one thing I will say about Mako that is probably better than this ride is I've heard it's very smooth. And this ride seems to be a issue with a lot of rides at this park. It's a little bit rough, not in the track actually. The track, it goes through its layout very smoothly, but it does throw you up and throw you down back into your seat at the ending section with the little bunny hills pretty aggressively. I love airtime, Lightning Rod, best ride I've ever been on, but this ride is like Lightning Rod, but without the sort of smooth transition back into your seat. It's just slams you up, slams you back down over and over again. So I actually don't mind when they staple me on this one. And maybe ask that, ask them to make your restraints go as much like into your lap as you can, and I think you will have a better experience. Also, do not ride the back row. I do not know why so many coaster enthusiasts say, oh, this ride is way too rough. I don't like it at all. And then proceeds to ride in the back row every time. Like, guys, just go towards the front. It's not as bad in the front. But it could still give you a bit of a headache. Coming in at number 2 is actually my new favorite ride in the park as of yesterday when I first rode it, and that is Tidal Surge. It is like the same sensation as Steel Eel, except you're slightly more vulnerable. But it's super smooth. You're staring directly down into the lake if you get on a nice side, so it's a beautiful experience. It's got crazy ejector airtime. It hangs you in the air. It's a combination of all the things I've talked about. It's the only ride I'd say other than Journey that like suspends you so high in the air for so long, except this time you are like doing that dive coaster thing where you are just hanging vertical or beyond vertical, and you're just looking at the ground and then thrown towards the ground and thrown back up. But it is so fun. I would say though, do not do this as your first swing ride. If you can afford a trip to either Silver Dollar City or Dollywood, they both have rides called Barnstormer there, and they are 81 feet tall. This one is 135 feet tall, And those are such good introductions to this ride type. This was introduced as the tallest SNS Scream and Swing in the world, and I believe it still is. So it's fun, it's beautiful, it's great, but it is the first ride on this list that I would say does not have a good transitional ride in the park. And I feel like maybe one way that it could kind of give you a similar sensation of like just being suspended there really high up is maybe making like a drop tower in the park that is like a little bit smaller. I could see like, you know, this flat ride being connected to the section of flat rides by Texas Stingray with other flat rides of a similar type. Starting on this ride is like starting on Scream at Six Flags Fiesta Texas for drop towers. And I nearly had a seizure on that ride, for context. And that experience made me terrified of big rides for the longest time. But I will say, flat rides can often be scarier than roller coasters. And this is one of those examples. And coming in at number 1 is the one ride I still have not done at this park, and that is Great White. I'm not that much of a wuss, okay? It's not that I won't do this ride, I will. I've done inversions now. I've done Wild Eagle, I've done Iron Shark. Both of them were super fun. I am going to do this ride. It's hot though right now. And the thing that's terrifying about this ride is that every single coaster YouTuber that I hear talk about it talks about an experience called graying out. I would argue no other ride at this park puts you at risk of graying out, but this one, from what I hear, does, especially in the summer heat. So what you've got to do to prepare for the G-forces on this ride is drink a lot of water, do it kind of early in the day, and sit near the front row. But to me, graying out sounds like one of the scariest things I've ever heard described. Like, you're telling me that I'm already on this crazy, like, airtime G-force machine, and then my vision starts going blurry while blood is rushing to my head and my feet are feeling numb. Like, that feels like simulated death to me. And I've heard roller coasters being called like simulated death machines, and I actually disagree with that description. Every ride I've been on has just made me laugh or given me a kind of I'm lifted out of my seat sensation, given me like a maybe stomach dropping feeling. I have never felt a ride that felt like simulated death. So here's a list of things that I've heard this ride described as. It feels like my feet are being ripped off. It feels like it's trying to literally kill me. It feels like I'm about to black out. Do you see how this ride is number 1 intimidation factor? And it sucks because there's these ride types everywhere. They're Batman clones, you know? It's at Fiesta Texas. It's all over the place. And it would be great as a step-up ride if it was less intense, I would say, for people getting used to inversions. But here's the problem with SeaWorld and why I had to go all the way to Pleasure Pier and Dollywood to get used to inversions. There's no other ride with inversions in this park. There's no other ride with really any positive G's other than Barracuda Strike in this park. At least none that are as sustained as this ride from what I hear. If you have the same fear as graying out as me, don't go on it during the summer and try some other inverted rides first. I would recommend Wild Eagle as a great starting place. I'd recommend Iron Shark as well. It's actually not as bad as it looks. And I would even recommend Iron Shark on like a hot summer day, because I did it on a hot summer day and I didn't gray out. So one thing I would also recommend when it comes to these sorts of rides is, as a general rule of thumb, the tighter inversions are the more forceful ones. So if you go to a park like Dollywood or Fiesta Texas, like, do Superman, do Wild Eagle, and you're actually less likely to gray out on those types of rides from what I hear. The dropping sensation, airtime, the roughness, everything else does not feel like your body is turning against you. While graying out, I would argue, feels like your body is begging for you to stop doing this. But what this ride made me think, which is not true, is that a ride that has inversions means it is very likely to make you gray out. And I think that's partially due to what a lot of coaster enthusiasts say, but I would argue that is not true, actually. Again, this is just based off what I hear online about this ride, not based off personal experience, but I have done a lot of research about it. So yeah, I would say due to the sensation of graying out being such a major factor for me and for I think many other people, Great White is the most intimidating ride at SeaWorld San Antonio. And that's it. That's my list. I would like to kind of go more into the nitty gritty of how I kind of experienced SeaWorld when I was young, really quick. Basically, what I did was I saw Texas Stingray. I like a POV of it online. I saw that it was at my home park, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go there. So I was living in Houston at the time, and so I traveled to Seguin to ride Switchback, which I saw as like a good introduction since it's a bit of a smaller drop. Then I went on Texas Stingray the same day. Then I went on Steel Eel that same day after my sister just told me she didn't want to sit alone. That memory is permanently ingrained in my head. I would say I'm sad that ZDT is no longer kind of present because it would have been a great wooden coaster for anyone that is kind of scared of Texas Stingray to get ready for it. But I would say Barracuda Strike, actually, weirdly enough, the roughness on it makes it a similar experience to a wooden coaster. So maybe in that way, it's actually good that it's a little bit rougher because it's got the same drop height as Switchback. So overall, thank you guys so much for watching. That was my review and ranking of the intensity of all the rides at SeaWorld San Antonio. I want to thank Hemisphere and Canopy Coasters again for providing a lot of the footage of this video. Basically almost every roller coaster was provided by them. I kind of took the flat ride videos myself. Love both of them. I'm sure if you're watching me, you've probably heard of them, so go check them out. They're both awesome. And I think that's it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun making this video. If you wouldn't mind subscribing and leaving a comment and liking it and sharing with your friends. All those things help so much. I'm also going to put up maybe a poll about some ideas I have and which ones interest you the most. One that I know I need to do before I leave Austin is a review of the Typhoon Texas here because, oh my god, it's so bad. and you would not know from online reviews. It's got a 4.7 out of 5. But regardless, that's a topic for another day. We also got a Dollywood vlog coming up and a SeaWorld vlog coming up as well. So both those things I'm excited to talk about. I'm also excited to talk about ride ranking for Dollywood itself as well. That is similar to this one. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you guys in the next episode of Chicken Coop Coasters.